Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to show you more on a Linux operating system called Linux FX. If you watched my short from the other day, I took a short video of this Linux operating system that looks like Windows 11. This is the second version of this operating system I had messed with. The other one looked like Windows 10. As you can see here, Windows 11 will not ask you to select a language like that on startup. We're running on the live CD, so what I am going to do is I am actually going to install this operating system and I am going to actually use it. So, as of right now, Windows 11 will not do this every time that the computer boots up. So I'm just going to press Control C. And we are going to go into the operating system itself. Now, I wanted to do a more in-depth video of this because you don't have to use Windows as your operating system. Now, what's nice about this Linux distribution is you don't need to have the TPM 2.0 chip. You don't need UFEI, the newer version of the BIOS, to run this Linux. So, as soon as it goes in, I'm going to show you some different things here. First off, to note, if you watched my short before this video, is the start button is in a different spot. It is not in the middle of the taskbar like it is on Windows 11. And Windows 11 would not have all that code showing, so you know it is Linux that is running. And as you can see, it is a darker color blue than Windows 11. And I really, really like this. For me, with Linux distributions that look like Windows, what I'm trying to prove with a video like this one is, hey, you don't have to use Windows as your operating system, but if you're used to using Windows, there are Linux distributions that look like Windows. So, and I am using this on my HP mid-tower desktop. It ran the live CD just fine. And I am going to launch the installer, which also worked just fine. And what's really nice about this is the way you go through the File Explorer, that's what they call it in Windows, it looks like Windows 11 as well. And there we go. But see, have you noticed that when you're basically in the setup phase, and I just realized this now, the Windows logo has a darker shade of blue than it does now. Now, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, it said powered by Linux FX. So as you can see, they call that a cursor, believe it or not. I know I stated that in a different video. Looks very familiar, doesn't it? So to get into this, if you're just use a computer casually, you would think that this is Windows 11. But let me show you some differences real quick here. Over here it says Linux FX operating system. We're going to exit that out. Over here you have this. That is the Linux version of OneDrive. Even though OneDrive is Microsoft only, just want to be clear about that. You have this, which is called AnyDesk. Windows does not come with anything like that. The volume control, this, and this, but if I go do this, Windows does have something like this. But look at the time. It tells you military time. Now, if you look over here to the left, all these are different. See, this is a store, but it's the Linux FX store, which I'll look at later. You have this, and yes, this is actually using a real version of Microsoft Edge. They do have a Linux install. The folder, they call it Dolphin. They have chat, widgets, virtual desktop. So if I do that. Now, this is where the start button should be. And there shouldn't be a search here. So basically, that's how you can tell that this is not a real Windows 11 install. So here's what we have. We have the trash, we have the install system, we have the Linux FX Android, and Microsoft Edge. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to install the system. Alright, so it says Linux FX installer. It says, welcome to the Linux FX 11.1 installer. So basically, this looks like Windows 11, Linux FX 11, and all that. Now, the installation for Windows does not look like this. So we're going to do American English because I am in the US. So here we go. Okay, this is another giveaway that this is Linux. Actually, that is where I'm at. Next. Now, I could choose my keyboard layout. You could do the same thing in Windows, but as far with that, I've never seen anything in Windows that you can configure your keyboard. You have to do that when the operating system is already installed and you're doing the final setup after the operating system has been installed. So I'm just going to leave everything default here. Alright, so what I could do is I could replace a partition. What is replace a partition? Replace a partition is, let's say you have Windows 7 and Windows 11 installed on the same hard drive. You have two different partitions, which is the space for the operating system. What I could do is, let's say I don't want Windows 7 anymore, so I would select that partition and install Linux FX 11.1 on that partition, deleting Windows 7. So then I have Windows 11 and Linux FX 11 installed on the same drive. But for the sake of this video, I am going to erase the, excuse me, I can't talk, erase the disk, and I'm going to click next. So we're going to do test. As I said before, when I do these videos, I always name the computer test because this is a testing computer. All right, so now we click install, and there we go. So something like this is really, really cool. So they're showing you pictures of the operating system while you are installing it. The cool thing about this is there's multiple installs you could do. Now, there are several differences towards the installs. I'm literally installing this while the DVD is running in the drive. I didn't have to go into it and boot off it. What's nice about Linux, and I know I've stated this before, is you have something called a live CD, and what you can do is test it out before you install it. Now, here's the cool thing. Say you have a family member that wants to try out an operating system but doesn't want to install it. They can use the live CD, and as long as they don't install it, boom, take the CD out or DVD out, depending on how big the ISO is, and you just reboot the computer and you're fine. as you can see, it's setting everything up. Windows does this, but it does it in a different way. So, as you can see, a lot of stuff will be different in Linux than in Windows, even though it basically does the same thing. So, and it's taking less time to install Linux than it does Windows. Alright, so the bootloader is being installed. The bootloader, just like in Windows, allows the operating system to boot. Because remember, we're running off a DVD right now. Now, what the shell process is, that's the visual. That's basically what it is. Now, it's going to most likely ask me to restart the computer. So when I restart the computer, you're going to see certain things that is not in Windows. All right, so what's happening now says it's removing 3 packages. In Windows, when you install certain things, you have installation files. In this case, those installation files are called packages. Alright, so it is all done. So I have to restart it. So I'm going to leave the restart now checked and I'm going to click done. So the live CD is going to shut itself off. As you will see here in a minute. So what's going to happen is it's going to tell me, hey, you're going to remove the installation media, and then I'll reboot the system, and what's going to happen is it's going to boot up into that system. So now what I do, should restart. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to force shut down the machine. That's just the live CD, so everything will be okay. And here we go. There we go. So my hard drive is handling this very well. So we'll give it a few minutes and it should go into the operating system. There we go. Now, this looks like Windows 11 as well, but one difference. On Windows 11, when you come into the desktop, the time is up here, not down here. It's only down here in Windows 8. So that is another difference. So we're going to do hopefully it'll let me in. And oh, there we go. Now, if you notice another thing, is Windows 11 will do this type of screen before you hit the login screen. And then what would happen is when you logged in, you're automatically at the desktop. But the reason this particular OS does it this way is because it's not Windows. There we go. Okay, so we are in. Now, if you look over to the left over here, this looks like Windows 11. So let's do updates. It says you are not up to date. This looks like Windows 11 as well. This is pretty cool. So we're going to check for updates. But first, let's see. One notification, security updates. Let's view them. There we go. So this is a little different as well. It doesn't do the line up here when you are looking for updates. It does it more like this. And what's nice is I won't have to restart the system as much. Okay, so this is all the updates that are available. So I'm just going to do update all. I'm going to keep this operating system on here. This is the Linux version of the user account control. There we go. And if you look down here, there is a total of 627 updates. And it's already at 53%. So already this is faster than Windows. There we go. So if I do this, we should see more stuff being updated. A lot of stuff is kilobits. So there's very few things on here that are megabytes. So this is actually going pretty well. So we're at a total of 75% here, 76%. Just want to show you how it updates. So, but everything else, this is the biggest file update. So it's doing all the big updates first, and it's going to go do the small updates. So while it's doing that, let's go on Microsoft Edge here. And here's what I want to see. I'm going to install Opera web browser. And if this can handle the web browser install, I got a good operating system here. There we go. Alright, so I brought up Microsoft Edge here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do I forgot. They have this like new installation screen. I'm just going to leave everything there. I am not going to do that. So I am going to go to Google here. And my favorite site of all time. That's GX. I don't need GX. Oh, that's portable. Don't need portable. There we go. We're going to go with this one. There we go. So this is still updating. We're going to go to downloads. We're going to go here. Look at that. I just want to see if it'll handle a .exe file. Because if it can handle a .exe file, this is a good, I wouldn't say replacement, but for somebody who likes something different could do this. I know I did a video on this. This is called Wine. It stands for Wine is not an emulator. What Wine does is gives you the C drive like you would have in Windows. Once you get that set up, you can run .exe files. Alright, so it's telling me, hey, look, you're missing something. We need to download and install. So I'm going to click install. So it's going to download it and it's going to install. So once this gets working, I'll be able to set up Opera. So once I set up Opera and it works correctly, what I'll do is download another piece of Windows software and install it. %. Okay. We'll go to my computer. And we're going to do accept and install. I am now installing the .exe version of Opera on a Linux OS. Now what you just saw me do was give it a directory to install to. You will have to do that, otherwise it's the same. So I'm going to exit out of this so that way it's not wasting any memory. All right, a lot of stuff is almost done. So there we go. So I am going to have it on here so we can see what's going on. So far we know certain things work. So hopefully when this is done, this will take over. So if I go into here, there we go. Only Office. Looks like Microsoft Office, doesn't it? I'll review that in a second. Okay, there we go. This works, this works, this works. We're at 87%. That's not moving yet because of certain things, but that is okay. So let's go look at only Office. Microsoft stuff. Let's click only Office. And we'll see how this looks. Oh, whoops. There we go. So it is now booting. And you have document, spreadsheet, presentation, and form. If I click document, that's your Microsoft Word, basically. Yeah, this is your Microsoft Word. If we go here, we have spreadsheet, which is your Excel. Has all the stuff from Excel, basically. Presentation, which is PowerPoint. And then you have form, template, which is like a type of word. Okay, so that's it for that. Let's see what else is on here. All right. So we'll watch it install here. It should be done within about maybe 10 minutes. So now everything's going to be the small files. So basically what's going to happen is it'll install everything on the small file side. There we go. You saw it install just right then and there. There we go. All the small files are being installed. As you can see, so it'll take a little bit here. And all those are installing. Let's see how Opera is doing. It's still there. As you can see, the updates are now completed. It took an extra 10 minutes than when I thought, but everything is up to date. And as you can see, I don't have to restart the system. So we'll exit out. We're going to move it there. I'm going to rerun it. Well, didn't mean to do that. It's going to restart. Okay, so the computer rebooted, and you're going to see something a little different here. This is the Linux FX WX Desktop update. So what's going to happen here is it'll go from 11.1 to 11.5. So what I'm going to do is I am going to update it. I'm going to force update it. Ah, okay. I'm going to launch that again. We're going to install it in program folders here, just like we did the last time. So program files, click OK, accept and install. There we go. All right, so I'm going to end this video right here. So anyway, with that said, that is it for this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications.